you know, and that way you could just like drift, you know, into sleepy time with a different chapter every day. I'm making that offer if you're interested.
Will you be in bed with me? Is that what you're offering?
Well, I was thinking it would be more like a, you know, sitting at like Fred Savage and the Princess Bride with Peter Falk kind of thing. But, you know, if you prefer it that way.
Another reference. Okay, great. Good.
Fair enough.
While I have you, and while of course you have Seth and Becky here, are there any stories from the book that you think audiences right now would just love to hear? Not the full story, but like anything from the book that you want to bring up now? Because there's 10 things in the book that you wrote that I was like, man, I can't believe that shit happened.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. It's you know, it's really cool that I got to, you know, tell my firsthand perspective of the 3-year like biggest WrestleMania, you know, build of all time between you and John Cena.
Yeah.
You know, I was all of a sudden turned into Chris Farley. Like, you remember when you fought John Cena at WrestleMania? That was awesome. There was, you know, that was cool. And then, you know, all the stuff that, you know, we were able to do, and it talked about, you know, the promo segment that we did with Becky on SmackDown Live.
Share this with you really quick. You know what was really cool was when the Shield attacked me before the WrestleMania, and then powerbombed me. And I remember Seth. I was on Roman's shoulders. And Seth in particular threw me down so hard on that mat, busted my blood vessels. Blood started coming up out of my mouth, and he looked down. Roman looked down and was like, "You okay, Uso?" Called me brother and someone. I was like, and before I could answer, Seth was like, "Who gives it?" He walked away.
You know, this was 10 years ago. I don't have a full recollection of this memory. You know, we did powerbomb you twice. Once in the dark through a table, and then another time we made you bleed your own blood.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one, you know, was which. There's a lot of things that happen in the heat of the moment. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
He said he regretted nothing. And he would do it again tomorrow. Or better yet, he would do it in SoFi and Brian. That's what he said.
Oh, and let me tell you, that match was all of 30 seconds. If Brian, I can tell you, who's going to take the ball on that.
I don't know. I've been doing squat thrusts. I feel I'm, you know, getting in, you know, the ring rust of lifetime ring rust is wearing off. You know, I will say this, you know, you said that story about the powerbomb. I did, you know, and I write about it in the book too. You know, in a time that is never, ever, this will never be replicated. You know, I think you were there. And Bubba Dudley took me, Devon took me, like raised me up to Bubba's, you know, he was up on the second rope. Like there's a whole crowd, like thankfully this is 2000, February 2000, there's no cell phones or anything like that taking video. And Shane is like, tuck your head in. I'm like, what? And we're airborne. And yeah, Bubba powerbombed me off the second rope. I did tuck my head in. I felt amazing afterwards. I felt like a world beater. Like, yeah, like, yeah, I just took a bump. And walking around the hotel, you know, the Baltimore lobby, you know, ordering like an Amstel Light or something like hardcore like that. And like really feeling, you know, my oats then. But can you imagine, like, you guys, I can't imagine like a writer taking a power bomb during rehearsal or anything like that. Just the absolute pandemonium the footage that would leak, the lawsuits is insane.
Dude.
There's a few of them I'd love to give a powerbomb to these days. But
Becky, I got to share this story really quickly with you guys. You guys will appreciate it. So it was me and Hunter. We were building to some match. I can't remember what it was. And this was, I think this is in the book. Brian, is this in the book?
Yeah, it's in the book.
So we were in Atlanta. We were opening up Atlanta for the first time. It was a stadium in Atlanta, right, Hiram? Brian, I think it was.
Georgia Dome, yeah. It was
Yeah.
a huge show.
It was the Dome. It was the first time we were in a Dome. WCW had run the Dome so many times before us, so it was first time in the Dome. And we were closing out the show, and it was a big promo at the top of the show between myself and Triple H. This was the time I told Brian earlier in the day, I was like, I got an idea. You know how when Triple H talks, it sounds like really long-winded, and he's like, and then gonna do this. My name is the game. And I was like, what if I really went in? So we come up with this promo on the back, and I was like, and it's the whole thing, and I do him to a T. And of course, that night I think he left me laying, so I'm cool with this kind of opening of the promo. So so now we're called to Vince's office, and it's me, Brian, Triple H, Vince, Stephanie. I don't know, was anyone else in there? Brian, like heat from the moment he's like walking in, every arena. So just by being Brian, by the way, the nicest guy in the world, but a writer. So Vince was like, I said, okay, so I got this idea, and I'm going to make fun of how Triple H talks. And Vince is like, oh, sounds great. Let me hear it. And I could just see already Triple H is like, and he and I were we were buddies, but it was also very competitive. So Vince was, come on, Rock, let me hear it. Let me hear the thing. And I was like, okay, got it. Brian, show him.
No, but the best part of that was you built it up so well. So I come out, you guys are in the ring, you're looking at me, and I'm like, you know what, Triple H? Here's what's the problem with you. Every time you open your mouth, it sounds exactly like this. Do the voice. Like, me? And then you're like, yeah, you were doing it backstage. You imitated him so well. It sounded just like him. Do it. And like I see, like Hunter's ears have steam emerging from them. And DX wasn't exactly like rollicking with laughter either. They were like, the fuck? And so, yeah, so I did it. I was like, in this ring, I'm the game, and I'm going to say absolutely nothing. And then, you know that laugh. Vince is like, ha, ha, ha. Perfect. Go ahead and. Yeah, love it. Like he did, that's when you hear Ron Howard. He did not love it. It was very much. It was a great promo. Apologize later. It was an awesome promo. It's iconic. People, talk about it today.
That was a good one.
That's great. That's great.
That's tremendous. What about the Michael Hayes stories? The Michael Hayes stories are some of my favorite content in the book. I read the book as well. Becky passed it off to me. Great read. But I love Michael Hayes. He's such a character. People are familiar with the Fabulous Freebirds or maybe some of the stuff he did with Edge and Christian and the Hardys. But as a human being, he's one of the most entertaining people on the planet. And so having stories with him backstage, that's like, I was loving that stuff. I love because he's exactly the same now as he was 20 years ago. So it was tremendous content. Like some of the XFL stuff was great. My God. Oh, just tremendous Michael Hayes stories.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Yeah, there's like, the book is roughly 47% Michael Hayes stories. But yeah, the XFL, that's when I termed, I was texting with Becky about it. The catchphrase, hair in a tail, no need to bail. Hair undone, your ass better run. Because hair's in a ponytail, it's professional Michael Hayes, and he's booking great. Beerwolves come out, and you don't know what's going to happen because it's after the show. So yeah, there's a whole section dedicated to the very different 2001 XFL than the 2023 XFL. where me and Michael and Bruce were working on it, and he had such a stressful day because he had to be the bodyguard of Stephanie because they fired, you know, and then replaced him with Stephanie, who was a heel in WWE at the time. And all the fans, she's trying to like, and it's a great night here in San Francisco. Boo! You know, that's the PG version of what they were saying. And Michael had to guard her, and he was so worn down that, yeah, he had a little bit to drink. We played blackjack, and yeah, I write about it. He did something I have literally never seen before, which is, and I'm like, I don't think that's right, Michael. It's like, she don't mind. You don't mind, do you? And the woman's like, oh, I don't want any trouble. No problem. I can see the dealer is just like, you know, looking very, very concerned and probably tapping what they have in, like when people are robbing banks, tapping the silent alarm under the blackjack table. And then Michael, of course, lost the old lady's money too. And then he respect me and just got up and left. Insane.
Oh God, it's such a great book, man. You've done such an incredible, incredible job. I'm still writing mine, and I'm really happy that when mine comes out, at least it won't be in direct competition with yours. It's so well written and hilarious.
You think you'll be done with that?
Hopefully in the next couple of months.
Perfect.
Now that I got a bad wing, I got a little bit more time to dedicate to it.
Yeah. How's the injury coming along?
Oh, good. Yeah. I feel like I've gotten a bunch more mobility in it. Because when it happened, it was so painful that I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be out for a long, long time. But now it's healing up real quick. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling good. So I'm hoping it won't be much time at all.
Great.
Cool.
How's your injury?
Yours?
Wait.
His?
No, Brian, how's your injury?
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were talking to Seth. No, I'm good. I broke my finger in 3-point line. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm doing well. It's
Why don't you tell everybody really broke
what's that?
Tell everybody how you really broke it.
That is how I broke it. I broke it going for a rebound, and the ball bent the finger back. And that is my story. I'm sticking to it. That's the real story. I don't know what is being implied here, but I assure you it is false narrative.
Oh, man. All right. Hey, listen, we should let these two get back to their napping baby. And before we wrap this up, WCW, he was the last one who came in, and he comes in first night. We sit down, and I think this is in the book, right? So I'm not.
Well, this is the inspiration to the title of the book. So yeah, it's definitely in there.
So we sit down at the table, and we're gonna have a big promo. Me, you, and him. He's gonna come out. He's gonna give me the big spear. That's how the show's gonna end. Goldberg finally makes his debut in WWE, and then we go on to have a couple of pay-per-views. Tell everybody what happened. They're at the table. We're sitting there, promo time, and I say, yeah, Bill, we could do something like this. And then you jump in and say, yeah, it's kind of similar to.
Yeah, like, you know, it's the simplest promo you could ever have. Rock's running his mouth. I've done all there is to do. I've beaten everybody. Goldberg comes out. I'm like, great, you know, you know what we could do? We do this great thing. You know, we did this thing with Rock and Hogan in Chicago where they're standing face to face and they're like each looking at the crowd, and it's this iconic moment. And Rock's like, yeah, we could do that. That sounds good. And then Bill's just like, yep, there's just one problem. I ain't Hulk Hogan.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rock and I are looking at Rock and I are looking at each other like Lando and Lobot in Empire Strikes Back after Han Solo gets frozen. Just like, are you seeing this shit? So I knew no one would make that reference, but it amused me. So afterwards, I said, okay, great. You know what? No problem. Not catching on.
By the way, when Bill said, I turned to Brian and go, I fucking told you he's not Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Do that shit. Brian's like, no, I know. I've done that. Okay, I got something else. And then
so not taking a hint at all, oblivious. I go, you know what? That's no problem, Bill. This is going to be perfect because what we could do is you could stalk him on stage. You could like have this big pacing back. I see Rock going like, I don't think it's a good idea. And then Bill's like, There's just one problem. I ain't Chris Jericho. Again, intense stare. And this literally could have gone on for hours.
Is this the first time that you guys interacted with this man?
Airports or something like that.
Yeah.
And then but he was the very last one. And when I saw him out in an event. And I remember we talked for a little bit and I was like, dude, I think there's a pathway here. I think you should consider coming in. We could do some big business. You're the man. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So he came in, but he kind of came in at that time, understandably so. He had his Brian's hitting him with the Hogan and the Jericho.
He did not have a great relationship with wrestling writers at the time. So I understand where he's coming from. And we get along great now, but that could have been like literally like 2 hours later, like, there's just one problem. I ain't George Hackenschmidt or, whatever. I ain't Haystacks Calhoun, okay? I also ain't Gorgeous George. Like, we could have gone on. Like what in the history of the business has there not been a confrontation that you would like, and then I watched the promo back. It was basically you kind of just like circling each other. And then, he hit the spear. So thankfully that had never been done ever. And, we satisfied Bill, we satisfied you, the audience, Vince, everybody. It worked out fine. And it gave me a title for a book. So, yeah, we got the,
buy the book,
the cover.
people.
Yeah.
Yes, and Becky, so good to see you guys.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. Good to see everybody.
And congratulations again, Brian. It's awesome. Well done.
Awesome. Thank you. And now I got to figure out how to turn this off.
All right.
Good luck.
Go enjoy that ice, guys.
See ya.